Hey guys, have you read Huckleberry Finn?
Of course.
Yes, I have.
Oh my god, me too.
Huckleberry Finn was written in a very different time period than today. Slaves were treated as less than human. In the beginning of Huckleberry Finn, you can tell that Jim is hesitant towards Huck, and he is submissive to Huck. But throughout the novel, Huck and Jim become closer. Their bond reaches a climax at the end of the novel when Huck is conflicted about whether or not he should turn Jim in. He ultimately decides to save Jim and goes against society's wishes, thus becoming an individual. That being said, why do you think an author would write a character that goes against the stereotypes that were placed upon people of color in that day?
In fact, Mark Twain was born in the Deep South in Missouri. Every summer, he spent several weeks at his uncle's listening to the stories of the slaves, specifically one he called Uncle Daniel. It is said that through Jim's character in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain put a face on blacks. Huck's experiences with Jim turn around everything he was taught, and Huck eventually makes the decision to go to hell to save Jim.
Would that scenario be an example of character development throughout the novel?
That's a good question, Josie. Throughout the novel, Huck shows how he was raised uncivilized. During the book, we also get to see how he wants to escape from society and the way in which he was raised without any discipline or any type of structure.
I guess you could say then that Huck had a desire to be an individual in his own community. But what really makes an individual?
The definition of individual versus society is when a protagonist has a strong belief against the majority of the community or surroundings and decides to act on it. It is a conflict that occurs between a character and an outside group. Some examples of issues brought forth from this type of conflict are environmental changes, religious beliefs, and in this particular case of Huckleberry Finn, segregation.
The most important lesson Huck learned during the adventures of Huckleberry Finn is the ability to make and choose your own decisions. The most obvious example of this is when Huck decides to save Jim and go to hell. While making this choice, Huck decides to go against everything he has learned and stand as an individual. He even decides to suffer the consequences of this action. This choice is also ironic because through making this choice, Huck proves that he is the most civilized of them all.